Imagine this. A group of people gathered centuries ago. No fancy uniforms, no shin guards, just a ball and a whole lot of enthusiasm. Who exactly were these visionaries who started the game we now call football? Let's dig into history and find out. Some might argue it all began in ancient China with a game called Cuju, where players kicked a leather ball through a net. Others would point to the Greeks and Romans with their games like Episkiros and Harpastum. These weren't football as we know it, but the spirit was the same. But the real predecessor to modern football might surprise you. In medieval England, villagers played chaotic matches that involved entire towns. The goal, kick, carry, or drag the ball to a specific spot, often with no clear rules. Sound wild? It was fast forward to the 19th century, and we meet the true game changer, the English schools. Institutions like Rugby and Eton started formalizing rules. In 1863, the Football Association was formed in London, giving birth to the modern game. We can celebrate its journey from ancient fields to packed stadiums. Football isn't just a sport, it's a universal language. Which country invented football? If you think it's a straightforward answer, think again. The beautiful game has roots all over the world. Let's head to ancient Greece and Rome, where games like Episkiros and Harpastum were played. These games were more physical and rough, but they laid the groundwork for team sports. Fast forward to medieval Europe and we find folk football. England, France, and Italy had their versions, with entire villages participating in matches that could last for days. But if we're talking about modern football, England takes the crown. In 1863, the Football Association was established in London, and the first standardized rules were written. This moment marked the birth of football as we know it. Do you know who invented the name soccer? Football, soccer, footy, what's in a name? Let's uncover the quirky story of how soccer came to be. The tale begins in England in the late 1800s. Back then, football wasn't just one game. It was a term for any sport played on foot. The two main types were rugby football and association football. To keep things simple, people started shortening the names. Rugby football became rugger, and association football became, wait for it, soccer. The "air" suffix was a popular slang trend among Oxford University students. Who knew college kids would shape sports history? So, is it soccer or football? It's a debate as old as the sport itself. But where did these names come from, and why do they divide us? Let's find out. In England, it's simple. Football is football. The game is played with your feet, so why call it anything else? Across the pond, things get a bit tricky. American football, which involves a lot of hands, became wildly popular. To differentiate, they called the other game soccer, borrowing the term from England. Irony, right? And it's not just the US. In countries like Canada, Australia, and South Africa, soccer is the common term. Meanwhile, most of the world sticks with football. The history and evolution of the soccer ball. The soccer ball has come a long way. Ever wondered how we went from inflated pig bladders to the aerodynamic masterpieces we see today? Let's kick off this fascinating journey. It all began in ancient China with Cuju. Players used a stitched leather ball filled with feathers. Primitive, sure, but effective. In medieval Europe, balls were made from inflated animal bladders wrapped in leather. Talk about resourcefulness. However, these balls were irregular in shape, making gameplay a bit unpredictable. In the 1800s, Charles Goodyear changed everything with vulcanized rubber. This invention led to the first standardized soccer balls, making the game more consistent and enjoyable. Today, soccer balls are engineering marvels. Made from synthetic materials, they are designed for precision and durability. Why soccer balls are made of hexagons and pentagons? Simple shapes, but together they create the perfect sphere. But why these shapes? Let's break it down. The classic soccer ball, also known as a truncated icosahedron, is made of 20 hexagons and 12 pentagons. Before this design, early soccer balls were stitched leather, often lumpy and uneven. The hexagon-pentagon pattern introduced in the 1960s changed the game literally. Adidas's Telstar ball debuted in 1970 and became the gold standard. Its black and white pattern wasn't just aesthetic. It helped players and fans track the ball during matches. Next time you kick a soccer ball, remember, those shapes aren't just for looks. They're a mix of art and science. Why football is the most popular sport in the world. From the lively streets of Brazil to the quiet villages of Africa, football is a universal language. But what makes it the world's favorite sport? First, its accessibility. Football requires minimal equipment, a simple ball or anything that rolls, and that's enough to get started. Then, there's its undeniable global appeal. Iconic events like the FIFA World Cup bring nations together, where passion and talent take center stage. Football is more than just a game. It's a story unfolding before our eyes, each match filled with raw emotion, tension, and triumph. Fans don't just watch, they live the game. Football transcends cultures, bringing people from all corners of the earth into one shared experience. It's not just the most popular sport, it's the universal bond that unites us all. How football became a global phenomenon and its future. Football's rise to global dominance wasn't an overnight success. It was a revolution that spread like wildfire. The British Empire was the spark, introducing the game to its colonies. From there, it took on a life of its own. In South America, football became an art, with players like Pelé turning matches into poetic displays of brilliance. In Europe, fierce competition transformed it into a battlefield, while in Africa, it became a symbol of hope and unity. Fast forward to today, and football is everywhere. From crowded streets in Rio to remote villages in Africa, the game has found its place in every corner of the world. TV broadcasts and the internet have brought global superstars like Messi and Ronaldo into millions of homes, and iconic moments like Maradona's Hand of God or Beckham's stunning free kicks have cemented football's place in pop culture. Looking ahead, the game's future is filled with promise. Technology is pushing the boundaries. AI coaching, smarter equipment, and eco-friendly stadiums are just the beginning. Women's football is on the rise, and grassroots programs are bringing the beautiful game to even more communities. Football's power to connect people and inspire is only growing, and with each passing year, it continues to evolve. Conclusion. No matter what you call it, soccer, football, or footy, it remains the world's game, uniting people in ways no other sport can. It's a universal language that transcends borders and cultures, connecting us all through passion, emotion, and shared love for the game. Football isn't just a sport, it's the heartbeat of humanity, inspiring and bringing us together like nothing else. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join the Total Football family. Let's kick off this journey together. Subscribe now and experience Total Football.